This is Van Silk sitting here with the Black Cultural Network. As we get into political season, I want to bring something to your people to understand that today in Orlando, Florida, in the Villages of Florida, they had a golf cart parade for Kamala Harris. Yes, golf cart parade. Now it seems like a lot of Trump followers are switching over to Kamala Harris. And it seems like this blue wave is going to continue and up until the election. But what I did here is pulled out great videos by different Americans, and they thought and what they think about the election, what they think about Donald Trump, and how they are all coming together to make sure we have the first woman president in the United States. So let's go ahead and check this out. We're Black Cultural Network right here on rumble.com. You can search for us by type in BCN and hit search, and the Black Cultural Network will come up, and just follow us and enjoy the news and information that we give you. This is Van. I have to go.
What is happening right now in Florida is absolutely wild. So Kamala Harris is hosting a golf cart rally in the Villages, Florida, which notoriously voted for Donald Trump and notoriously votes Republican. However, it seems this year they're showing up for Kamala Harris in big numbers. Look at this. Believe that is happening in the Villages? The good vibes, the enthusiasm, and the energy for Kamala Harris is explosive. And the reason, I think, is because voters understand what is at stake this election. Donald Trump plans to appoint 2 more Supreme Court justices to lifetime appointments, meaning that they could be on the bench for the next 20 to 30 years and come after more rights such as marriage equality, the right to contraception, and the right to get your child a public school education. This is what's at stake this November, but it seems that even the residents of the Villages are fed up with Donald Trump, the Republicans, and the MAGA Supreme Court trying to control every aspect of their lives. Go on.
Okay, Politics 101, Arlene Unfiltered, and oh my God, the news just keeps coming. Holy crap. Never in 100 years did I ever expect this to be happening. It is now about 1:15 on Saturday, July 27th, Eastern Standard Time, and I have just seen a report about the Villages, which is a community. It's a community of people who are 55 and older. It's in 2000, well, I don't know what year it was, but it was 98% white, and almost everybody in the Villages was voting for Donald Trump and did vote for Donald Trump. In fact, they made headlines because there was a parade and some guy was yelling white power. Well, the news just in is that there is a video circulating, and it's been verified, that there are over 200 golf carts driving around the Villages in Florida. These people, 55 and older, who were rabid MAGA supporters, 200 golf carts filled with people all gathering in support of Kamala Harris. Okay, this is such game over. And I'm just sitting here looking at this and I keep thinking, okay, I didn't think I could ever be surprised at anything. But a community of old people in Florida who are all white, who are all rabid Trump supporters, driving around with Harris 2024 signs on their golf carts. It's done.
Something just happened I've never heard of before. There was a Zoom call that had over 200,000 white women on it. We also saw the same kind of call with black women, right? Win with black women, Zoom for Harris. I'm telling you, if these moments get momentum and become a movement, this could be what this election is about. Mallory, did I get it right? And what was the vibe, and why this time, why haven't we seen this before?
You did get the vibe right. It was incredible. First of all, Zoom has never had a meeting larger than 100,000 people. This happened completely organically. Shannon Watts, who's the founder of Moms Demand Action, tweeted in response to the Win with Black Women call that you mentioned that white women should do this. It's on us now. It was so exciting. And I think to your point, from 2016 to now, white women have seen the impacts of a Donald Trump presidency in a way that we didn't in 2016. There's a level of responsibility knowing that elections are decided by white women, and this energy.
If I make this shot, I'm definitely voting for Donald Trump.
Donald Trump says that Kamala Harris shouldn't even be allowed to run because she has committed crimes.
She shouldn't even be allowed to run for president. What she's done, she's committing crimes.
Now, of course, Trump is a convicted felon. If Kamala Harris shouldn't be allowed to run for the supposed crimes that she is allegedly committing, none of which he's enumerated, none of which he's been indicted for, never mind convicted, if that's the case, certainly applying even any reasonable standard, Trump should not be allowed to run because he was convicted on 34 felonies.
Are you a veteran? Then this video is for you. Call in. We got a mission, and this is your mission brief. Tomorrow, Sunday, 28 July at 1600 hours, there will be a Veterans for Harris Zoom call. This call will be hosted by Common Defense. We'll be joined by Governor Wes Moore of Maryland and many other speakers to include myself, and we will be raising money for Vice President Kamala Harris's presidential election campaign. We've all answered our country's call before, whether it be Afghanistan or Iraq, Kuwait, Bosnia, Kosovo, Korea, Vietnam, or the many other places around the world where we have been deployed. Well, this time, the call is literally coming from inside the house. Fascism is knocking on our front door. And if Donald Trump gets elected in November, just like he said yesterday, there won't be another election.
Get out and vote just this time. You won't have to do it anymore. 4 more years, you know what? It'll be fixed, it'll be fine. You won't have to vote anymore, my beautiful Christians.
So now we have to step up and answer the call again. Go here and click here. This is an all hands on deck call. You have your marching orders. Tomorrow.
Now they've got about 100 days of a honeymoon period that might very well last 50 to 60 days, where people are still going to be just excited that they have Kamala Harris. They're not going to dig into her record. They're not going to be bothered by her record because they're going to be so excited for probably the next 50 days. Well, we've only got about 100 until a general election and even fewer to early voting. Yeah. So don't get too comfortable on the Trump side, and I'm sure we're going to talk about this later, but the attacks on her personally, on whatever her past personally may have been, or calling her a childless lady, none of those are going to work, and they're going to make women second guess their support for what they may have felt for Donald Trump. Bad move.
Ooh, there are a lot of strong points in that for Republicans. I mean, depending on how much you love Donald Trump and do or don't like his VP pick, some of that was for J.D. Vance.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's for don't call women dumb. It just doesn't work on Republican women or liberal women. It just doesn't work.
I wasn't going to update, but you guys, we have another update. We are over 20K. We're going for 50. As of about 10 minutes ago, we're 20,000 strong. We're shooting for 50 by Monday. Okay, all of you have been so generous sharing this, but I have to ask you again, will you share this with anybody that you can think of that might not have heard of it yet, that might have been on the fence, that thinks this could be cool? And to be clear, everybody is invited and welcome to this event. Okay, the link in my bio, it's good for everybody, so please go ahead and use it. And in case you didn't hear in my previous video, we got Pete. Pete Buttigieg is going to be on the call. So if you love Pete, if you just love the spirit of this energy of democracy, of activism, I encourage you to come by. And by the way, they did provide a link for official merch, talking hats, White Dudes for Harris. So let me make a quick follow-up about that.
Recently, 44,000 black women got on a Zoom call and raised more money in 24 hours than ever has been raised for a presidential candidate. And they did this for Kamala Harris. We all know Trump lies, but Trump is also extremely racist. He recently put out a mass email right after the 44,000 black women had their Zoom call and said, the swamp creatures are funneling money into Harris's campaign. I do not know what to tell you or show you to get you to all to understand that Trump is a horrible person and that he's racist and a sexist, but just take the time to ask Google, what does the derogatory statement swamp creature mean? What is it in reference to? And just read it. And if you still support him, I don't know.
Military and veteran spouses, it's our turn. Tomorrow is the Zoom call supporting Kamala Harris. Common Defense, Taking the Hill, and the National Military Spouse Network. That's the host. There's going to be numerous speakers, and all of us are going to come together once again to defend democracy. We know what it takes to support the mission. We know what it takes to defend those who defend all of us. I have been a volunteer, an organizer, and an advocate for the better part of 25 years for our service members, for our veterans, and for their families. I have numerous content on how Project 2025, Agenda 47, the Republican Party, and Donald Trump are targeting our military, our veterans, and their families. Go watch the videos. We must come together because we have one choice. We have one chance. We cannot allow those who would destroy the foundation of America to take power. It's time for us to take on this mission on the home front. If you're with me, go to my bio, go to my link tree, the Zoom link.
Well, Donald Trump has already chickened out of the debate with Vice President Kamala Harris in September. He's canceled the whole damn thing. He's done, folks. He does not want to be on that stage with Kamala Harris. After saying that he would debate anyone, any place, anywhere, anytime, suddenly he's dialing it back. And his response is so hilarious because in one way he's saying, well, the Democratic establishment just pushed her to the front. And at the same time, the Democratic establishment doesn't like her. They may pick somebody else. So I don't want to commit to debating her because I don't know what's going to happen between now and then. He's running scared. That's exactly what's happened. He's running scared because he realizes he's a convicted felon. He's been found liable of sexual abuse. The judge said that to clarify that it was rape. And he defamed the victim afterwards. He's been guilty of fraud. And he's going to be standing across from a former prosecutor who is going to take it to him. He doesn't get, see, in the first debate, folks, he looked over at Joe Biden and he saw moments to capitalize. He saw moments where, oh, wait, he stuttered. Oh, wait, he forgot what he was going to say. Oh, wait, he misspoke. I can pounce on this. So he was excited about another debate with Biden. He's not excited about a debate with Kamala because he knows that she will absolutely hand his ass to him. And anyone who has not saw this ad yet, you really need to see it, because this right here should make any Republican tuck their tail between their legs and go home.
Donald Trump wants to take our country backward. But we are not going back. We are not going back.
The tear gas was used to remove peaceful protesters from Lafayette Park.
The president setting up this photo op for himself, dispersing peaceful protesters. He's holding up a Bible.
This is a masquerade being dug for coronavirus victims at New York City's Potter's Field.
They were peaceful people. These were great people. The love in the air, I've never seen anything like it.
A group on one side and you had a group on the other. Very fine people on both sides.
You can do anything. Grab them by the pussy.
I was able to terminate Roe v. Wade.
We are not going back.
Yeah, every time that someone tells you that when Trump was in office, things was better and things was so peaceful. We had world peace when he was in. And he says that too. Oh, everything was peaceful. I had the whole world just singing Kumbaya. No, that's the world that Donald Trump had us living in. And we're not going back to that. We are never going to turn around and go back to that way of living. We've got a chance now to go forward. But to everyone out there who loves to defend Donald Trump, how do you defend the fact that he just chickened out? You can say whatever you want to, but we see it for what it truly is. We realize that he's scared. I remember back when I was a kid, there was this kid in school who was just a bully. He pushed everybody around. And he was a big blowhard, always making up stories about fights he got in. He would come to school if he had one little scar on his knuckle. He would tell you that he fought off a whole gang of guys. He left 5 guys laying somewhere. Don't mess with me. I will fuck you up. And everybody in school was afraid of the guy. And then one day this dude who was smaller than him just was like, you know what? I have had it with this guy. I'm not going to take it any longer. He stands up and is like, hey, man, let's go right here. I'm tired of your shit. Shoved the dude. Come on, let's go. And the dude immediately starts making excuses going, oh, man, I ain't going to fight you. Hell no, I ain't going to fight you, man. I got a new shirt, man. I ain't going to mess up my new shirt. You just get away from me. The minute he did that, everybody that saw it just wrote him off. Like, well, he's full of shit. He's a con. Nobody was afraid of him from that point on. As a matter of fact, we all went around laughing to his face. You back down from him. He's smaller than you, and you back down from him. You're a puss. We sat and made fun of that dude forever over that. That's what reasonable people used to do when the bully became a wimp. But Donald Trump completely wimps out, and his followers will wimp out right with him. He said they would get tired of winning. He said they would win so much they would get tired of winning. He keeps promising this big red wave that has not happened. They lost in 2018, they lost in 2020, they lost in 22, they lost in 23. Every time that they've said a big red wave is coming, it doesn't show up. Why? Because people are sick of their outdated ideas. They're sick of the same old tired and cruel and hateful rhetoric, and they do not want to go back to it. And now Donald Trump is starting to realize that, hey, you know what? They don't want to go back to that. And I would like to go out here and give some sort of different message, but I don't have the capability. I'm not even capable of doing such a thing. I can't change my tone for 1 second. I dodged a bullet, and I still can't find a way to behave for just 1 minute. I can't find a way to be nice. No, I'm going to double down and be mean. Oh, and I picked this dude over here that's even more extreme than me, and I've got to go to bat for all the crazy things he said in the past, and I got to come up with some sort of excuse for that. No wonder he tucked his tail between his legs and ran. And his followers went right with him because they're every bit as big a coward as he is. They don't want to see it. Folks, they really don't want to see him debate Vice President Harris. I wouldn't want to see it. If I was in their shoes, I'd be like, no, just set this one out. Going back to the bully, how many times have you seen somebody and you've been like, man, you don't mess with him. You know, you might bully people around, you might push people around, but don't mess with that guy right over there. That's what we're seeing, folks. And I find it hilarious. I find it absolutely hilarious. And I really believe that if we can all stay focused and we can all unify the reasonable people, the logical people, the sensible people of the world, the people with the voice of reason, if all of us can come together, look back at the chaos that Donald Trump created and say we're never going to go back to that. If we can do that and we can stay focused between now and November, I think we can absolutely roll Donald Trump to the point that there's not even going to be room for debate. Yeah, he may sit and kick and scream. He's not going to ever concede. He'll be an old man sitting in a chair. He's already an old man, but he'll be even older, sitting in a chair somewhere going, but I won. And just let him fade away. Just let him fade out. But every time someone tells you the world was peaceful and great when he was in, play them that ad. Remind them of where we were and remind them that we ain't never going back again.
Nobody cares about the fact that we've got a bunch of young black and brown men in prison. That argument is not working. What I suggest we do as African Americans is own this issue in law enforcement and then define it in the way that works for us. Because it is a myth to say that African Americans don't want law enforcement. We do. We want our grandmothers to be able to walk to church and be safe. We want our babies to be able to walk to the park and be safe. What we don't want is racial profiling. What we don't want is excessive force. That's right. What we don't want is to have our civil liberties and civil rights be stripped. But we do want law enforcement. So let's define it in the way that works for us by saying, I want community policing. I want a police department that works in my neighborhood and in my community that reflects the mores and the culture and respects my grandmother, again, when they walk in to talk to her. I want a system of accountability in the criminal justice system that says law enforcement needs to own crime prevention as much as it talks about long sentences. Because nationally, only 18% of serious crime results in an arrest. So if I, as law enforcement, with my responsibility to keep you safe, only talk about keeping you safe by sending people to prison for a long time, I'm necessarily going to fall short because the vast majority of that crime's not even hitting my system. So if I'm going to keep my promise to you to keep you safe, I'd better talk with you about what I'm doing in terms of crime prevention, which means recognizing that people coming out of the state prisons, 60% will recidivate if we don't get them in reentry programs, if we don't get them in job training, job readiness, get them in programs that deal with their substance abuse, get them in meaningful housing and employment so they don't recidivate. We could talk about it in terms of is it the right thing to do? Of course it is. But you know, I'm done talking about it like that. I'll just talk about it on this basis. If that person commits another crime, I have to spend $10,000 to try that felony. They sit in my county jail for $35,000 a year. I'm running a reentry program out of my office in San Francisco DA's office that brings folks back into the community at an expense of $8,000 a year, guarantees them employment, guarantees them meaningful reunification with their family.
So Kamala Harris, it ain't the fact she black. Howard University, Alpha Chapter, AKA. It's enough to get my attention, but it ain't enough to get my vote. All skin folk ain't kinfolk. You better check her record. And I did that, and I found out some things. She dope. Yo, Kamala Harris is almost exactly what you expect from a prosecutor with the credentials I just mentioned. First off, you ain't even qualified to talk about her unless you heard about Back on Track. That's like trying to discuss Jay-Z without hearing Reasonable Doubt. Back on Track was a restorative justice program for 18 to 24-year-old, first-time, non-violent, low-level drug offenders. Instead of jail or a charge on the record, folk got sent to boot camp where they got job readiness training, parental training, earned a GED, got connected with employers for careers, got their credit fixed. That's a pretty good deal. I'm finna go sell an ounce right now. Okay. But for real, once people graduate that program, she threw their charges out like it never happened. As DA of San Francisco, she made social services help parents of chronically and habitually truant kids. Twitter told y'all she was threatening them with jail. Cap.
The most important issue for me really is that we get these kids into school. The goal is not to prosecute parents, it's to get these children to go to school. We are not talking about hooky and playing hooky, and frankly, we all did, okay?
Nah, they were missing 40 to 80 days. That ain't hooky, that's hiatus. And nobody went to jail. I checked. Sister got them kids back in school and kept them out of incarceration and the grave. She also created reentry initiatives so people in jail could get out and not go back. Convicted over 1,200 domestic abusers. Prosecuted child molesters, rapists, and violent criminals. Transnational gangs. Got $20 billion back for Cali from the big banks after the foreclosure crisis. Created a civil rights division in the San Francisco DA's office. When she first got in, she threw the charges out for the activists and the protesters who got arrested. Shawty a hero. Senator, no disrespect. Not to mention incarceration rates for marijuana charges fell each year she was AG. So much for that theory about her believing in mass incarceration. But Kamala Harris, I'm excited. I'm excited about her plans for gun reform and the HBCU agenda. I'm excited about women's equal pay and the return of consent decrees. I'm excited about black home ownership and a black woman on the Supreme Court. I'm excited about black businesses booming and the D9 step show the day before her inauguration. Y'all know they having a step show. And I'm gonna be there too with an $8 fish plate and some mambo sauce. At the end of the day, she's the strongest and most prepared and exactly what America need right now. And I look forward to seeing her stroll into the White House in 2021. That's an AKA joke. I hope she don't make her cabinet members probate though. Nah, seriously, 4 to 8 years, the D9 jokes are gonna be hilarious. I still ain't been the same since somebody said she gonna put AKA tags on the back of Air Force One.
Hey everybody, just a quick message to let you know I will be broadcasting the White Dudes for Harris Zoom call with special guest Pete Buttigieg live on Monday at 7:45 p.m.
I was thinking about making a video of why you should vote for Kamala Harris and not vote for Donald Trump, but then Fox News did it for me.
I like the fact that this is a young black woman squaring off against an old white guy.
So you agree that she's young and your guy's old. Good start.
They like that she's going to all just talk about abortion.
So you admit that taking women's rights away from them wasn't the best move. And they know President Harris will fight for them to get their rights back to their own bodies.
And they like the fact that she was a prosecutor and he's a felon.
Yeah. Listen, when I tell you MAGA is scared to death, the Donald Trump campaign is shitting the bed. The whole thing where Trump was doing this, I'm the new softer Trump after my attempted assassination, it's like out the window. Have you seen his recent speeches? He's right back to calling everybody names. He's fired up, he's pissed off. And that's because he knows he's losing.
Doug Emhoff is a lawyer in the United States and is better known as the husband of Kamala Harris. Where is he now? Doug Emhoff is now more focused on his family as a successful lawyer. Harris, as vice president, had little spare time in the day to take care of the house, but Doug Emhoff still took good care of the house. In 2021, Harris became the first female vice president in American history. However, Harris' achievements are inseparable from her husband. As soon as the news of Biden and Harris' victory came out, Harris' husband posted, "I'm so proud of you." This second gentleman has shown his great support for his wife Harris' career everywhere and has almost become Harris' #1 fan. The couple are deeply in love. During Harris' vice presidential campaign, most of Doug's social media content was related to his wife, as well as watching Harris shows and wearing sweaters in support of Harris. Since Harris joined the campaign team, Emhoff has been planning to cut ties with the company. In 2020, he left DLA Piper LLP to avoid conflicts of interest. He put his career on hold to fully support his wife's vice presidential campaign and instead joined the Georgetown University Law School as a professor. Emhoff's support for his wife has also made him popular with many, as her